But first, let's go to Carissa Olson. My wife, full disclosure, went to college with her. So I know her. She's attended some of our Worldview weekends. I think I've even met her mother. I think her mother attended, if I remember correctly, at one of the events. I remember visiting with Carissa and her mother at our resource table. I think it was at North Heights Lutheran Church in Arden Hills, if I remember correctly. But my wife saw today on social media where she was posting, she's very involved in the pro-life community in Minnesota, that this tragedy, this murder of Melissa Hortman took place just a couple blocks from her home. And so we reached out to her and she has graciously agreed to join us today. This is shocking and horrific what has happened. I used to live in the Twin Cities. In fact, I guess this took place in Brooklyn Park. I remember working closely with Brooklyn Park Evangelical Free Church on many occasions for our outdoor concerts at St. Paul's Como Park. I think I did a concert one evening around Thanksgiving at that church. So I'm very familiar with this area, and it strikes close to home, that's for sure, as I have a lot of family still living in that area as well. Joining me now is Carissa. Carissa, I'm sorry you're joining us on a tragic day for the country and your state and your community and your neighborhood, but thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. And you mentioned Brooklyn Park Evangelical Free Church, which is now Revive Church, and I am the director of worship at Revive Church, which was Brooklyn Park Evangelical Free.
What a small world. What a small world.
Very small world, yeah. Wow,
So,
well, go ahead.
Tell us the latest here. And you knew Melissa, and I got some video of her, but tell us how this transpired. Did you find out in the middle of the night? Did you receive a alert? Because I know until recently you were and your family were in lockdown there in Minnesota.
Yeah, we were in shelter in place. So at about 5:23 a.m. is when we got our first alarm, which was extremely loud. Shocked, woke us out of bed and said, within the 3-mile radius of Brooklyn Park where I live was an active shooter. Stay in your house, stay in lockdown. We made sure everything in the house was safe, locked down. And we had a number of SWAT vehicles, police officers. I counted, I think, 30 SWAT team police vehicles, undercover officers, AR-15s down the street. In front of our house was more SWAT vehicles. And as the story was unfolding, we knew that somebody had been shot. And then we found out it was our representative, Melissa Hortman, who I knew personally, very sadly, and her husband were also assassinated. And then just a short, probably in Champlin, which is just a few miles away, State Senator Hoffman, him and his wife Yvette were also shot. And then the police came and checked on Melissa Hortman, and they found the active shooter. That I guess there was some gunshots that were fired. And when we got the news at 5:23, there was multiple helicopters over our homes, and it was a crazy scene for a while. So just about an hour ago, they released the shelter in place, and they still do not have the suspect at this point. But
and what do we know about the suspect?
Well, we know that the suspect worked for, I believe, is appointed by Governor Tim Walz in some kind of a security position, worked for some NGO. And they did find No Kings brochures in his car, as well as some manifesto that I believe has not been released to the public. And he's still at large. He's on foot, and I'm praying that they do capture him.
Absolutely. Apparently they have the No Kings rallies that are taking place throughout the country. Some of them are getting quite large. We've got video footage we'll go to later in San Diego. That one seems to really have gotten big. We are, of course, just about less than an hour from the start time of President Trump's parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the military, the Army. We'll carry that live here at Worldview 2, folks. And then we're going to go to our panel, of course. But the No King reference has caused officials in Minnesota to tell everyone that we should cancel those rallies, those protests. So those apparently are not occurring, right?
The No King rallies, as far as I heard, they're still happening.
Wow.
Chicago, I believe the video that I saw of Chicago,
no, it's about the one particularly in Minnesota. They the authorities wanted them to cancel those in the Twin Cities. Do you know if they did that?
I do not know that.
Okay.
I do not know if they've canceled that or not. It's very heated politically right now. What I did appreciate about Melissa Hortman is she really worked across the party lines, and I saw that firsthand years ago. I worked with her on a bill regarding newborn screening, and she was the lone person this last Monday when we had the special session for the budget. She was the lone Democrat that voted to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented illegal individuals.
Wow.
And she said she made that move. She was on tears on camera. She did that with a very heavy heart. And
in fact, I think I have a clip of that.
You have a clip of that?
Yeah, I think I do. Let's go to that, guys. Here we go.
It was emotional and at times very personal for some of them, and there were concerns that the fierce pushback could derail the deal.
What I worry about is the people who will lose their health insurance. I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision. And we tried any other way we could to come to a budget agreement with Republicans, and they wouldn't have it.
The debate.
Was there any indication she was about to leave the Democrat Party? And is she also the former Speaker of the House there in Minnesota? Is that right, Carissa?
Yes.
She is the former Speaker of the House.
I believe she was.
Is there any truth to the rumor that she was maybe going to leave the Democrat Party?
That I've read that on numerous interviews on different people online have said that she was possibly going to announce of leaving the party. I don't know if that's true or not, but some of her voting would show that maybe she was. Mm-hmm. I did just get a text. The No Kings protests. They still, even amidst urging people not to attend those, it looks like they are attending. People are gathering for the No Kings rally in Minnesota.
In the Twin Cities, they're going to still go ahead with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we don't know what this guy's deal was, but I've seen paperwork that looks like he was appointed at one time by Governor Dayton, then by Governor Walz. We have no idea, I guess, as far as political. I'm assuming if you're getting appointed by Democrat governors, you must be a Democrat. But again, there are rumors floating that the manifesto may have something about him being upset over people that are pro-choice. So again, I don't know if this is going to be, if someone's going to try to spin this one way or the other. I guess the best point of this game is that they go ahead and release the manifesto so that people can read it for themselves in context versus it being spun one way or the other. Just the facts, let the facts bear out.
Right. We don't know if which side he was on at this point. They haven't released that manifesto yet. Mm-hmm. And I don't know which way it's going to be spun. Do
we know anything about the Senator Hortman? Is that, I think we heard reports that Senator Hoffman's wife was shielding their daughter. Is that right?
That I cannot confirm. I do know that they're in critical condition, and I haven't heard the latest update, the news report of where they are. I believe they're still alive in the hospital, recovering, in critical condition. I don't know the extent of the injuries. My heart goes out to them and praying for their family in this horrible, horrible situation.
Indeed. Well, I'm glad your family is all right. I'm sure this is very traumatic for your family and your whole community there, particularly in that neighborhood that was just blocks from where this occurred. I guess this guy was posing as a police officer, maybe even had some SUV that looked like a squad car. So there was some serious planning that went into this.
Yep, he had lights. They said he had the outfit, and we were told by the SWAT team to not answer the door if it was a lone police officer. If you see two police officers, we could talk to them, but also to call 911 and verify that they were at our house. So they wanted to make sure that we weren't answering the door to any lone police officer posing as a police officer like this gentleman was doing.
Well, again, I'm so sorry this has happened to your state, and I'm glad your family is safe. And thank you for coming on here and telling us your story and what's happening just a block or two away from your home.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad that we know they're talking a lot about kings, but I know who the King of Kings is, and that's Jesus Christ. And that's where we get our comfort and our peace from during this time.
Absolutely. Carissa, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Brannon, for having me today.
Thank you. Wow. Of course, a lot of us have been following that all day long. Horrific. Absolutely horrific, isn't it, folks? And the planning that had to go into that, to wear police uniform, to have a SUV with lights. We'll see where this all goes and hopefully we'll release that manifesto so everyone can read it and it can be seen and interpreted with facts, not one way or the other, just the facts. People shouldn't be politicizing the incident after the fact, even though it does seem as though somehow politics in some way played a part.